If you've clicked on this video, it's likely that your Deebot is doing donuts, and it might need a new driving wheel. Well, this is a video that shows you what I did to replace mine, and it solved my issue. If you're hearing, please check the driving wheel and you've tried cleaning and everything and nothing's working, then it could mean that the driving wheel needs to be replaced. This video, I'm going to show you what I did. I bought myself a brand new driving wheel, and there will be a link in the description if you want to get one. I suggest replacing both sides together so that you've got a maxed pair, but on this video I'm just showing you one, and it's the same process for the other side. So watch ahead and see what I've done. Now you need a couple of Right, let's see what happens if we turn it on and test it out. Hopefully this thing goes straight, the wheels are working, and we have no more issues. If we do, then great success, and I hope you have the same. Let's have a look. Here's the moment of truth. What's going to happen? And away she goes, just like I bought one. What a dream result. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.